For more on the importance of this troop withdrawal, I want to welcome on Cory Mills, a decorated combat veteran and the co-founder and CEO of PACEM Solutions. So, Cory, when we look at exactly what is going on right now, this is yet another move by the Trump administration to bring troops home from the Middle East. It was something that the president ran on back in 2016, and this is, I believe, at least the second time that he's made such an announcement so far this year. Do you agree with the move?
Yes, absolutely. And Alex, thanks for having me today. So, the big thing that people have to understand is that for over a decade, we've continued to utilize various methods for training to include not just by DOD, but also by the Department of State's ATA, the Anti-Terrorism Assistance Program. And so I think that the president has continued to understand that we can't be involved in these endless wars, that these are sovereign nations that are continuing to build out their own individual capabilities and capacity, and we will continue to support them. If the Iraq government does require us to stay to help with certain mentoring or help through defense articles and various industrial complex trades, we're more than happy to support that. But I think that we also have to honor and respect the fact that the special forces for the Iraqi units, the federal police ASV, the Peshmerga in the north, have all elevated their capabilities to help with counterterrorism in their country.
So, Cory, is it safe to say that the United States went into these wars with a mission, for example, whether it was to wean out terrorism or to get rid of Saddam Hussein, whatever it may be, and that over time, the mission changed to some degree, and it's just, a lot of people said that it turned into nation building of a sort, and I understand that where those criticisms come from. I understand why some people actually don't like that terminology because, I mean, there are American troops who have sacrificed their life for the overall mission of what happened there. But did the mission change over time? And that has kind of resulted in what has necessarily happened, where now troops are being talked about being brought home right now? Is that what's going on?
Well, keep in mind, Alex, I spent over 7.5 years in Iraq. I spent over 2.5 years in Afghanistan, serving with both the U.S. military as well as for the State Department and other agencies. The one thing I can tell you is that with regards to Afghanistan and the President and Secretary of State Pompeo's plan for the Afghan peace plan, we had achieved our mission there. Our mission was to ensure that Afghanistan had never become another safe haven for terrorism, and that goal has been succeeded. So now it's time to come back. With regards to Iraq, it was a completely different thing because that was a regime change. And in that regime change, you had various elements of stability that has to go forward. And that includes not only putting in the 2005 Iraq Constitution, but also helping to establish a democracy with free and fair elections with regards to parliamentary elections, and also how the framework would basically be, enacted. And so while we had gone forward and tried to utilize that stability program, the previous administration did nothing for 8 years in the Middle East, which enabled things like ISIS to continue to grow and expand that caliphate to the size of the UK. So our mission had to continue to address those counterterrorism matters as a result of the previous administration. And once the president got what he wanted to accomplish, again, you see where he's holding his campaign promises, ending these never-ending wars, and going ahead and ensuring what's best for the sovereignty and safety of those countries.
Interesting. And by the way, I want to thank you for your service, too, because the only reason why I can have this TV show and talk to you about these topics is because of what you did and your colleagues did and those who came before you as well. So I want to thank you for your service before I move on. But when it comes to this as well, there also have been some pushback by those who I want to say are maybe the more old guard type of politicians, those who in the past did advocate for wars more so, those who are part of that rotating door a little bit, if you will, who serve or who are in Congress or whatever it may be, and then go work for Lockheed Martin or Raytheon, whatever it may be. Do you think that there is still a branch of modern politics that does kind of participate in that rotating door, if you will, or the military-industrial complex, as some would call it, that aren't supportive of these moves that maybe the American people, for example, are overwhelmingly in support of?
Well, I think it's interesting to point out the facts. Look, the idea of having contractors, for example, has existed ever since the 1800s during Lewis and Clark's expeditions. That was a U.S. Army-funded expedition. I mean, the boatsmen and the interpreters were actually contractors. Just because we're looking at trying to withdraw the number of troops that we're exposing to things like the malign activities of Iran, or we're trying to encourage the sovereignty of that nation, does not mean that we're not still going to be there to support with the industrial complex through the defense articles, through contracting methods, to help the capacity of the country to continue to build, to support infrastructure development. These things aren't going to stop. The thing that people always want to hit on is the fact that these generals or these retired commanders basically go off to the Lockheed Martin or the Northrop Grumman's or the General Defense. But keep in mind, who knows more about the institutional knowledge and the tactical methods that are being utilized overseas that can help to try and advise these types of companies to modernize and lethality and also, navigate the complexities of warfare better than the people who've spent the last 20, 30 years of their lives serving our nation.
No, and that's an excellent point, too, because if you build on that even more so, who are the people who know the sacrifices that come with warfare, stuff of that nature? It's those very people as well. So I think you're exactly right. When it comes to something like that, it's a matter of let experts be the experts. It's when the bureaucrats get in there, the business people are the ones making the decisions that I think get a lot of people a little bit more nervous. But you're exactly right. I mean, the people who served for 20 years, saw the horrors of war firsthand, those are the people who should be making those types of decisions. I think you're exactly right. Cory Mills, I really appreciate you coming on the program tonight and breaking down this issue. Thank you.
Alex, thank you so much. It was an honor being here.
It's an honor having you. Thank you again.